Everybody. And so we're going to have another panel discussion today and talking really about buyer brokerage and how to structure an online or virtual buyer broker presentation. And one thing I want to just say is how great these presentations have been. And so thank you again to all of our past panelists and then today's panelists and then everybody else who volunteers in the future. We really appreciate it. It's really great to get live time usage, from people that are out in the field and learning from your peers. I think right now it's probably the most instructive way of learning. And we're in this period of time where we really have compressed learning. So really right now, what's being created are advantages and disadvantages in the marketplace. And I was trying to think of an analogy, and the ability to work virtually, like being able to do a online or virtual or video call listing presentation, or to do a virtual buyer presentation like what we're going to learn about in a few minutes, is really kind of analogous to what happens if you didn't have a fax machine 20 years ago, like you couldn't operate. And I think this period of time, because of all the events with COVID, and the quick learning that everyone's had to do about technology, if you weren't up to speed on things like Zoom or other virtual or video conferencing, you had to get up pretty quick. Otherwise, get up to speed pretty quick. Otherwise, you might not be able to keep track of your kids, your grandchildren, all these different things, and of course, business. So I want to be able to frame this in a way that everybody needs to understand. I think this is really critical. Is that right now, advantages and disadvantages are being created in the marketplace. So if you're an agent in an organization that's staying on top of the technology and the new ways to apply things and the new way the consumer is going to look at things, then you are in the advantage column. If you are not, you're in a very distinct disadvantage column. And there's kind of no other way to say that. Because think about it in terms like this. On the other end of this, where people are used to doing, let's say, video conferencing, and you're being interviewed as a listing agent. If you're not able to offer to that person, would you like to do a video call prior to meeting? Doesn't mean that the personal touch goes away. It doesn't mean that you don't meet them at the property. It doesn't mean any of that. What it does mean, though, is that it's a convenient way for people to start a relationship, and for a seller to be able to determine or start to decide who they want to hire. The inability to offer that, might leave you out of the running for a client relationship with a seller, and that is a new dynamic that is being created right now. Now, does that mean all clients? No. Does that mean maybe a small number of your clients? Probably. Every listing lost, though, in an environment like this has meaningful financial impact. So I just want to bring that out and really have everyone understand that new communication and customer service dynamics are being created right now. And that's what we're doing on all these calls. That's the pivot we're making, right? We're pivoting from the emergency stuff to basically making sure that we're in the right position to be able to interact with our clients the way that they would like to be interacted with. And you guys have done a great job on being able to adapt to this environment. Of course, health and safety is the #1 priority. I think we've gotten really good at that. So now it's about the pivot to what's going to matter to perpetuate your individual business. Along the lines of perpetuating business, so we are planning now the kind of reopening of the offices. I mean, I know they're obviously open for you to go into, but the more official opening and what the procedures and protocols are going to be. So that all that information is going to be released today. And there'll be some procedures that we got to follow. You're going to have to, when you go to the office, you're going to have to sign in and some things like that. So all that stuff is out there. And we're starting that process now of kind of normalizing our office usage and all that. So, progress, right? We're heading in the right direction. So I want to turn the meeting over to Angela now, and Angela will be moderating the panel, and then I'll see you guys on the other end. Thanks. Angela?
Thanks, Chris. I'm super excited about today's panel. We're going to do some buyer presentations for you today and how to work with a buyer virtually. So we have two brave women with me today. We're going to have Andrea O'Brien, who's part of the Premier team out of our Gorham, Maine office, and we're going to have Denise Thomas, who is out of our Keene, New Hampshire office. So Andrea, are you ready?
Now that I am unmuted, yes, I believe I am.
Yeah, super. Thank you for joining me. So I'm going to ask you if you can share your screen with us. Well, actually, you don't share your screen at first, do you?
Not at first.
Right. So what is one of the first things you do when you get a new buyer lead?
All right. Well, I promised Angela that I'd share my favorite buyer pickup line with you, which is a slightly more professional version of, "Hey, baby, who's your lender?" Basically, it's a great way to get started. Most often than not, when you are meeting a new buyer prospect and you ask them, all right, so you're interested and you're thinking about buying a house, do you have a lender? The answer is generally no. And so immediately you become valuable because you have those connections. And I can say, okay, that's great. But if you're ready to get started, what I'd like to do is send you over a couple of my favorite lender contacts. These are people that I've experienced working with. What's your contact information? And I'll get those right over to you. So first, now you have their contact information and you can park them in your Customer for Life campaign, in your buyer drip campaign. Secondly, send them that information and follow up. Say, hey, I'd like to know who I work with so I can reach out to them, let them know to expect your application. And of course, you want to send them to a lender who's an excellent communicator. I have found Laura DeAndrea with our own CMG Financial to be outstanding at giving me unsolicited information. Hey, they've gone in and accessed the portal. They've started to upload documents. And it allows me to have really meaningful check-ins with them so that I can say, as they get close to having a completed application, okay, now we're ready to start talking about the process of buying a home. When are you free? I'll need about an hour of your time. And in the meantime, I'm going to give you a link to some online documents. So I'm going to pop a link for everybody in chat right there. And what I do, let me share my screen here now, is everyone can see that. I have a Google Drive set up that with that link, my client can then access and sort of start familiarizing themselves with some of the information we're going to talk to them about. Do they all do it? Probably not, but it makes you look really professional and really on top of your game that you have this place set up for them to go. It's super easy to do. If you have a Gmail account, you can use Google Drives. You could use OneDrive if you have, or MSN has some other things that you can, programs you can access to basically do the same thing. Again, one of the other things I wanted to share that I found useful is to keep this from looking like just a spread of PDFs. In zip forms, you can actually highlight text. So I do this for, as you can see here, my Maine Real Estate Commission or brokerage relationship forms that we Maine agents are required to present. Just highlight some of that pertinent information for them. And then from there, I think the other part of what I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about today is we all sort of have our own buyer presentation that works. But of course, we're in a weird place here where we're not sitting down in the office. We're not going through this face-to-face and then pulling up the MLS and finding 11 places that they want to go look at. We're limited here. Just to give yourself some validity to what you're saying to your buyer, especially with the news that they might not want to hear, that they can only go and see one house, that they have to wear special protective gear to go in that house. In this drive here, I share, actually I think I've got it pulled up, I share with them our Maine state current guidelines, and I go through that with them, what that looked like. You know, you can be interested in several houses, but you're going to have to pick a favorite, right? We can't just go and walk through 6 different houses in a day. It's too much of a risk. And so these are the rules that we need to follow to maintain our designation as essential. We have to follow the rules so that we as agents and as a business aren't put in timeout. These are the rules that I go, and I'm sure New Hampshire has a little bit different situation, but right here in Maine, we need to wear masks, booties, and gloves. We need to follow all of our social distancing guidelines, as best that we can. And I let my clients know that I have all that stuff for them, with the exception of a cloth mask. I have foot coverings and gloves. And then what we'll do is we'll pick one, but they are absolutely, of course, welcome to do drive-bys. I remind them that they can't be creeping on other people's lawns and peeking in the windows, but they're welcome to drive by neighborhoods and houses, that they can go to Google Maps and Google Street Views to get a feel for the neighborhood as best they can ahead of time. And of course that, I've got a license to tread in these places, that I'm happy to go in a couple of houses and video chat with them if they need that help to narrow their choice down to one at a time. So that's basically my spiel, unless Angela wants me to add anything to that.
I do. Hey, and thank you so much for that. I think that's really cool. How are your people responding to you when you're going through all that with them?
I've never had one objection, and I've recently found myself with a plethora of buyers all of a sudden out of nowhere. But it's about having the confidence in what you're telling them. You don't want to present that with a, geez, I'm sorry, and this is stupid, but this is what we have to do. It is what it is. And these are the laws and these are the guidelines. And I'm a licensed professional in my state. And this is what I am required to do. And these are the procedures I'm required to take if you want to purchase a house right now.
That's awesome.
As I say, most people go, okay, we get it. Let's go. So.
Right. And are you finding they are being able to narrow it down to just the one home?
Yeah, luckily there's not a whole lot on the market right now. So, it's not a buyer's market. We don't have a great inventory for listings. I think we're a little over a month right now. If everybody stopped listing right now, we'd have about a month's worth of houses for our buyers, which is exceptionally low. So, it's not like they have 33 houses in the neighborhood they want to live in to pick from. So that's working on our favor right now anyways. So those absorption rates are super low.
They are. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it. I love the tips that you have and that you're using, especially that Google Drive. I think that's great that the client can come in and out of it throughout the transaction.
Yeah. And if anybody has any questions about that, I know this is just a little snippet. Absolutely just email me. I'm happy to do a Zoom chat or send you directions or tips if anybody needs a hand with that.
Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Denise, we're going to go to New Hampshire now, all the way to Keene, New Hampshire. Could you unmute and join me?
I'm here.
Awesome. There you are. Awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you being here with us today. So I know you have some different things that you do with your buyers to stay engaged with them. Could you tell us about some of those?
So I have a lot of buyers right now who are remote. I had a buyer recently that prior to COVID-19, she was up here looking at listings and then got stuck. So we would do virtual Zoom meetings with my phone, and we would go out and we would look at properties together. She'd tell me which one she was interested in, and I would go through, sort of walk her up the front up to the front door, open up the door, go in, turn on lights, and just kind of walk her through room by room using my phone. And the house that she was looking at was actually it was a construction package that was, it was existing but not finished. So she had the opportunity to pick out things like flooring and the granite countertops in the bathroom and kitchen. So we set up another Zoom meeting, and I went to her granite shop and her flooring shop, and we looked at tiles together, and we picked out the granite countertops for all the rooms, and we picked out the flooring for the entire house. And I would go back as things were installed and kind of, re-zoom in so that she could see what she was getting. And we closed virtually because she still couldn't get up here. And she just arrived from Florida last weekend and sent me a text message saying that she had arrived, that she loved the house, and thank God, and that she was self-quarantining for 14 days and looking forward to getting out and about. So that was pretty exciting and fun to do for her.
I think that's just such an amazing story. I mean, the pressure of new construction alone, let alone having to choose everything virtually, and that you were able to make her comfortable throughout that process, and then come up here and love what came together. So congratulations to you for being able to serve your client like that. That's just huge. Right? Exactly. So I think that's great that new construction can be done virtually is really an amazing concept. And I know we've got a lot of our agents that do work that market. So you do another thing too with the newsletter and maybe something else from VHG?
I do. So I'll just switch this around here and see if I can get this up here. Can you guys see that?
We can, thank you.
Okay, great. So I actually have engaged some outside help. So I have a marketing person that helps me with this, but I design a newsletter. This is one of the ways that I stay in contact with my clients. And this goes out to about 500 past clients, maybe future clients, friends, family, and so forth. And I just plug in information from Masiello that you guys have provided, which is awesome, a listing that I have out there. I like to feature a local nonprofit as well as local businesses, and just sort of stay relevant as to what's happening in the market, what's going on. And, just sort of ask them to get back to me on this, and what's happening in your local market, sign up for Market Watch. Everything links back to my website, and I try to keep my website pertinent with current links and so forth as well. And so it's amazing the people that just kind of respond to this and say hello, or that they like the newsletter, and it lets me know that they're watching. Occasionally I'll get questions about, hey, great listing, I was looking for something like this. And so it's just helped me to engage other folks. So that's been pretty cool. And one other thing that I would say is I am also, can you guys see this? It's kind of hard to.
No, it wants to take it out. But I know what it is because I have that one right now. There you go.
So it's the Better Homes and Gardens magazine. And actually I love it because it goes out monthly. I don't have to do anything other than purchase that. And I can customize it. So I listen to what my people are interested in. So if they like food and beverage, I'll send them the Food and Wine magazine. If they like travel, I send them Travel and Leisure. If they're new parents, I'll send them the Parenting magazine. They've got Shape magazine. There's a whole list of them out there, and I absolutely love that. It's a once a month touch, and I get so many thank yous for that. And it just keeps my name and my face out there with people. So that's pretty cool.
I am such a huge fan of the magazine, and I love that you're doing it ahead of closing. I know a lot of people do it at closing, but the fact that you're doing the magazine kind of as a drip as well, I think is very cool. So congratulations on that. And I love that you put local businesses and nonprofits in your newsletter as well. That's a really nice touch and a great way to reach out to people. So the other thing that we have that we wanted to go over with you as well is in New Hampshire, what are the rules for showings right now in New Hampshire, and how are you finding your clients are dealing with that?
I think everybody is adapting to the new normal. We are doing the similar face masks, gloves, booties, or taking shoes off at the door. Social distancing, it's typically, it's a lot of unassisted showings right now. And if the listing agent or the buyer agent is there, we kind of, let people go through. It's just the essential folks that are purchasing. So, maybe husband, wife, no kids, no grandparents, no parents, going through the properties. And people are fine with that. It's just the new normal, and everybody has come to accept it. And we kind of, laugh about it once we get outside and take our masks off and stand back at our own cars and talk about what we liked or didn't like about the property, and if we're moving forward. So.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. You're doing some really cool stuff, and appreciate your time and coming on and doing this with us and sharing with the company some of the things you're doing. So thank you so much for that. I'm not sure where I'm going next, but I think I am headed to Lorraine next. It seems like a safe bet.
It is. There's always stuff to talk about from marketing. Thank you very much, Andrea and Denise. Those are amazing tips. And this session is being recorded, so if you wanted to go back and review anything that they talked about, we'll post the recording in today's bulletin, and then it will be on our COVID page as well. But we do have a couple other things to kind of add into that mix. One thing I wanted to show you was, this is a fairly new feature, I believe, that Google has released, and it's to do a Google tour by just uploading some addresses and some information. You could actually send a neat little interactive buyer tour to your clients. So let me just launch this one. This is very simplistic. I just added a couple of addresses in here just so I could show you what the concept is. But we're going to be doing a video on this this week, and we'll have a live training that we'll set up very shortly. So if you want to learn more, we walk through this step by step how to set it up. But basically what you'll do once you create this, it's going to give you a link, and you send that out to your client. They will come to a landing page such as this. You can upload some kind of a cover photo and some information in here. And then I've just uploaded a few properties so that you can see the concept. As I click on these, it just takes you right into that property. And then, like any Google search, any Google map, you can zoom right down in. If it's on a street that has been mapped on Google, you could drag your little guy onto the street and have a 360 look around and things like that. You could go back. So even if this wasn't for a buyer tour, I was kind of thinking about what else this could be used for. So if there aren't a lot of properties on the market to do this kind of thing, but maybe you want to highlight some local points of interest surrounding a property. So instead of uploading different property addresses, you could put in, where's the grocery store, where are the schools, where are these things, and it will show the driving distance and things to those points of interest. So, and then you can hyperlink from here. So if there was anything that you wanted them to be able to click on to get more information, like for example here, I've just uploaded a couple of photos for this listing, and then the hyperlink to get them right over to view more information about that. So that's one fun little tool wanted to let you know about. Also, Denise mentioned that awesome newsletter, and I'm not sure if everybody knows, but that looked like, Denise, was that done through Constant Contact?
I do that through Constant Contact,
Yep.
but I know Masiello has other information that goes out through Delta, which
Yep.
is great.
Yeah, we also have the ability to build a custom newsletter like that. So if you wanted to, we have certainly our My Customer for Life newsletter that goes out automatically, but if you were looking to pull in some of these graphics, some market stats, some of that custom text, like Denise had in hers, we will do a upcoming learning session on how to do that right from TMG Connect, so that it's right where you're keeping all your database anyway. And then once you have the template set up, you just use that as the template going forward, and it's super easy. So we'll make sure to get that on our learning calendar. And also wanted to give an update on our food drive, our food bank fundraising. All in, we have raised about $5,000 so far. That's all states, all in. So we hope that you'll continue to spread the word about that. That's another great way to reach out to your clients and on your social media pages for that fundraising. I believe that's all I had on my list. Obviously, if there's any questions about anything, we're available here in marketing. Just let us know. And Chris, did you have anything else you wanted to close out with?
Yeah, that's great. Boy, fantastic presentations, Andrea and Denise. One of the things that it underscores is that people want our guidance right now because they want to transact. Fundamentally, no matter what happens with the economy, no matter what happens with interest rates, our housing market is being completely driven by demographics. Really, the economy is really subordinate to that. We're in a situation, right, where we're producing more families than we are houses. So the housing market really is driven by more demographics, and people are really looking for us to be able to explain to them, how to safely, healthy, to transact real estate, and they want our guidance. And boy, these were two really great examples on how to do it. So thank you both so much. Really appreciate it. The other thing right now, because there is so much change, I would encourage everyone to really stay in curiosity, because we're going through a lot of changes. There's kind of no way to get around that, and it's happening in an extremely compressed period of time. And being in curiosity allows you the opportunity to look around and see how change might benefit you. A lot of times, when we get change kind of thrust on us, it's like, whoa. Really though, change is all opportunity. And so as we're going through this, I think what you're talking about, what Andrea and Denise were showing us, we're really, okay, well, here's the environment we have, and now how do we transact in it? And being able to be fluent in how we transact in this environment, even though it is change, is all opportunity. It's about really being curious about the environment and how do I leverage this? Because, in our particular case for our industry, people want to transact. So how do we stay curious and figure out, how do we accommodate that need? So I have two really great examples of that. And then lastly, just another plug to pick up where Lorraine left off on the food bank. So right now, as a total organization, we provided 5,000 meals for people. That's a really big deal. Don't forget that we haven't seen the hard part of this yet economically. So the real need is coming up for these food banks. So the more horsepower we can give them now as they're leaning into their real time of need is super important. So I appreciate everybody's effort on that behalf. And when you get a chance, please go online and make a donation or share it with your friends through social media and things like that. So that's it from here. You guys are all amazing. You're doing
actually, Chris, before we break, do we want to just mention the regional town halls next week? The format, the shift.
Before we break, I want to make sure that I mention the regional town halls next week. So we're going to take a break from, that was a really good close, man. I was on a roll. So we're going to take a break from our Monday, Thursday meetings, and we're going to do regional town halls, and I believe they've been scheduled. And so part of what we want to do is, again, this has been like drinking through a fire hose. And so doing the town halls will give us an opportunity to talk in a smaller groups and have really more interaction. We have 150 or so people on this call, so it's kind of hard to have a lot of interaction, but the smaller town hall formats will allow us to do that. And so I'm really looking forward to those. We actually had one in York County last week, and it was great. I took a whole page of notes, so super informative. And we're really looking for feedback, what's working, what's not, how you feeling about things, how can, what other support we can provide. So make sure that you make the time to be on those. It's only maybe 40 minutes, something like that. So anything else I need to do, Lorraine? Is that good? Okay.
Yeah, you're good.
All right.
Thanks.
All right. I've been released. You're all released. Have a great day. Talk to you later.